Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Wednesday, March the 11th, 2020. And I'm joined by BZ Rieger this evening. Lisa couldn't join us this evening, but we decided to get together and have a short chat, as I guess Trump will be going live soon, and we're going to cut this off pretty quickly. But BZ, you wanted to get together and play, and we were kind of having fun before we hit the record button because I don't know, I'm shocked at how many folks are the fear that's being pumped into through the mainstream media. I kind of expected that with all of this
Oh, that's their job.
coronavirus.
That's their job.
Right. I expected that, but what I haven't expected is all of those who, I don't know, I guess I kind of thought that there would be less fear and more being able to read between the lines, have a little more puzzle pieces collected, I guess, or
And the lines are pretty obvious, so it's really easy to read between them. In fact, the between part is like neon. So it's really obvious.
yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to be quiet and let you talk for a minute because I've just been a real flabbergasted, but I've also been collecting even more puzzle pieces this afternoon uh, in regards to things that have just today happened
Right.
that for me, again, point directly to how multidimensional this is, how yes, it is a real virus. I want to go on record right here, right now and say, that there, yes, I do know that there is a real virus, and I do know that folks have passed from this. Personally, I think I have already had it. I think it is still hanging on a little bit with me, myself, because I have had issues with my lungs. However, I also am very clear that I create my own reality. And
And I
I,
live in Washington State, 20 miles from, where the big circle on the map is, where the first and the seconds and the third, so.
yeah, so you're very close to what I guess this ground zero, we might as
Yeah.
well call it,
Yeah.
for the states.
Yep.
And so I don't know, I've been very amazed at what I will term light workers. I've never really particularly cared for that, but who have jumped on the fear wagon.
Yeah. And alternative media, it's some, um, with you, I concur. It's the mainstream media's, corporate media's, that's their job, and I'd be frankly disappointed if they weren't doing a bang up job of it. And that's part of the. So my thought to call this was, what do you notice? And then, what do you notice? You just any given moment where you're at work, wherever you're just, and it's fascinating to see what you notice. And the whole toilet paper thing is hell. And I paid my ticket of admission just because to get some toilet paper, play the role. But it was a great opener of conversations with people to go, it's interesting how most people don't think for themselves. They just turn on a box and they get told what to think. It's kind of interesting, don't you think? And from clerks to other customers who also, were paying the ticket for the toilet paper, go, yeah, that is weird now that you mention it. And I thought, well, there you go. So that was my thing. No fear here, no nothing, but just kind of, interesting. It's a puzzler, isn't it? It's great marketing, though. So there are so many things going on, and so much going on that that many know about, that many can feel and see and sense, and have a knowing and a direct experience of knowing that's going on, which might be turned, under the radar, between the lines, behind the scenes, although the behind the scenes isn't very behind, it's like behind the scenes, kind of like right, in your fingers behind the scenes. Um, and the dots for me are just like this, halo behind me. They're shining, they're luminescent, the radiance that they're shining forth, whether it's a tweet or a part of a tweet or a line or a caption, or you look at, you go, huh, and you notice something over there, and you go, huh, you notice something over there, and you go, huh, look at how, whoa, look at that intersection, and look at that, and that's it, and then even if you do it, you mentioned something about Trump not looking worried, and I thought, well, it's amazing to me that, and there are a number of people who, again, I would have thought would easily see, sense, and feel all of the dots going in there. They're like missing the dots. Like, I don't know if there's like a stick in their eye or something, but the dots are so radiant and so beautiful and so outlandish. And I was thinking, well, it's a little outlandish dot, but then it made sense to me. One of the ones I'm thinking about is Matt Getz, and he's got his gas mask on, so he puts his gas mask on in the halls of Congress, and then he makes sure he's on Air Force One with POTUS, and then he makes sure that, just CPAC, he just happens to be shaking hands with a photograph with one of the person who is now a patient, right? And then he's going to self-quarantine, and then he sleeps in his car at Walmart. So that's, outlandish in the trolling of a very positive, luminescent, let the light, putting the spotlight on, lest you be kind of jumbled in the harry-carry that's going on. You could stop and go, huh, and that's just one tiny example of, there's hundreds of thousands of examples in any direction. It's not just governments, all over the place that you can notice all of this.
No, you're absolutely right. I wanted to say that in terms of what you just said in regards to Matt Getz, it made me think about, now, right before you and I met here, I was catching up on today's update, on from the White House with Pence and the coronavirus task force. And one of the questions that were being asked was about the shaking of hands. And Pence was very clear that, in our line of work, well, there just has to be shaking of hands. And because the question was also put forth very pointedly that they had seen Trump shaking hands. And so for me, that's a clue. That's a, what do you notice? Oh, if there was some sort of concern, I just don't think there'd be a whole lot of handshaking going on. Number one, I just, there's so much, and it kind of came to me too, something that we were speaking on when we first started about the light workers, but it's also very much in what I, like you said, the truther or the alternative media in that. And this too has been very well played out in this specific kind of way, because now this is considered, there's a patent on it. Was it weaponized? That sort of thing. And of course, what they're going to do now is, roll this out, and it's the new world order being rolled out, where I see it as completely the opposite. I feel that this is actually,
well, it's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's covered.
Yeah,
So, I think my sense is that it's a very, and you can, and if you, like in school, didn't you do science experiments and you had a hypothesis, right? And so you wrote out your hypothesis, and then you came up with a little of this and tincture of that, and a kaboom of this, and the beaker kind of cracked or blew up or whatever of that, and a poof of smoke, and did you prove your hypothesis or did it fail or whatever? So, and you can, and I say that in a way because a lot of people can remember having a fun time, not paying any attention to the science teacher and making this gooey stuff and all this kind of stuff, and it was fun, right? And that was kind of the whole idea. So you get to experiment, and so I bring it that way because I think it's the same thing can be done. We do. I mean, we have the antidote within us because the being that is in alignment with source, right? Because you're not all carbon based anymore. In fact, you're mostly not carbon based anymore. So that part which is not cannot get any of these things. It doesn't happen. They're the parts that are, and then the pathways and the neurological programming that you then put into the parts that are the carbon based can't. But you can thwart that. You can inoculate yourself from that. You can vaccinate. You can shield. You however want to hold that as a metaphor by how you walk through this. And so when you going back to Matt Getz and the rest of it, that and then whether they're light workers or truthers, or there are some who have gone way, 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 way off. I mean, more than I was surprised, off the deep end, off the reservation, off the planet, on and out of the galaxy, down a wormhole, whatever. And that's very interesting. And then some, obviously not that far, but I'm curious and surprised actually, because now more than ever, and it's always been the case, but now more than ever, it is a multidimensional thing and is a feeling thing. And so that's why if you're just noticing, you're not thinking, you're not observing, you're not labeling, you're not judging, you're not attachmenting, you're not presupposing, you're simply noticing. And the or the whoa kind of a thing, right? Those don't have it. There's no effect one way or the other. You just simply notice. It's just data. And that again is a shield. That's your mask. That's your sanitizer, your gloves, your whatever it is, because this is where so this whole thing of ascension, this whole thing of hyper accelerated evolution and raising consciousness and shift in your whole molecular structure in all of your bodies is not an intellectual exercise. And the beer thing, is helping you see that, and depending on where you are shifting with that, and someone may say, well, but you don't understand, there's a clinic near me, and they they had a scare or a presumptive positive. And I reiterate what I started at the beginning. I live in Washington State, and just a couple of miles down the road, so
What gets me is do we not know what presumptive means?
right.
Because for me, for one thing, I mean, let's just get right down to it. That means A, they're guessing, and B, I mean, I'm sorry, that's what presumptive means.
Right.
Is, oh, we think it is, therefore it shall be. A case of the beer virus. But the truth of the matter is, there's for me anyway, for what I see, all the puzzle pieces, and there's a crap ton of puzzle pieces that actually one might think on one level that they are not related, but that they absolutely are.
It's like this beautiful. Now, have you ever seen? It's funny image that came to mind, but New York City comes to mind. But you could take any, because that's the subway system that I'm familiar with where I grew up. But any subway map, and all, they have different colors for the different lines, and it's quite extensive. And so if you look at a big map of other things, they'll have pictures where there's lots of them feeding this way, and then they go across town, and the expresses and all that kind of stuff. And what you just describing, that's, you could say, well, they're seemingly unrelated. And again, that's, if you simply notice for a minute, they are absolutely not unrelated. They're beautifully orchestrated. They're beautifully related. And I explained it to someone today, who's kind of awake, although not 100%. So I had to kind of make it a little more linear, simple language. I said, okay, so the bad guys did this thing, and for an intention of to bring down the economy and hurt Trump, and there's many layered things. Okay, it's not working too good. It's actually backfiring, and part of the reason it's backfiring is because Source is involved in all of this, and the frequencies simply will not support this action anymore because we've reached beyond critical mass. Okay, so back to linear. So the bad guys did some badass shit. It's not working too good. And it's providing, in all the confusion and toilet scares and apocalypses and all that kind of stuff, right? It's made this beautiful map of routes of doors that were supposed to be panic doors and all these kinds of things into this amazing, interrelated, beautifully orchestrated cover for all of the good guys to now move all of these pieces, where you got whole certain countries that are pretty much locked down, and there happens to be another country within that country, and that country within the country is not accepting any visitors until after April 3rd. So that gives you a deadline of, theater moving in and extracting things from that country within a country over there in Europe. And y'all can figure out which countries are within the country over in Europe and different places. And then you start to see, like what Sheila is talking about, well, wait a minute, look at that subway map of all of these things, to have all of these things flow with the least amount, given that a lot of people think, you're born and you work all the time, and then you die, and that's life. And they don't understand the truth of what's going on, what was ever going on, and needless to say, not at all about the truth of who they are. So this is a way to not have it keep going any longer, it's the quintessential making lemonade from the bad apples that were, put in baskets, that were rotting, and the ooze and the pus and the, badassness of them was coming out. And it's sublimely delicious, light infused, lemon sparkling, this nectar of the gods, right, is coming forth to wash through, rain down upon, flow through, flow over all, and in various ways. Again, it's everybody is the expert for themselves, and they can choose the path that they go through. But that is what I see, and have a knowing that's unfolding.
For me, common sense, my own common sense, I have to look at what I've been told by the governor of North Carolina, okay, and what they're claiming, one case, 7 presumptive cases. But as of yesterday, North Carolina has enacted a state of emergency. All the University of North Carolina colleges, they're on spring break this week. Well, spring break, we just learned tonight, has been extended another whole week, and they have already decided to do teleclasses after that extension of spring break. Now, that's one supposed case and 7 presumptive. And this is
and zero.
Zero deaths.
Yes.
Right. 0 deaths in North Carolina. Now, so looking around at the entire globe, there's been less than, I don't know what, I don't even think there's been a whole 5,000 deaths. I mean, that's being very generous in the entire globe from this, from the outset. And all of this panic that has been started behind this, there has to be something else. For me, the common sense says there has to be another reason. And it is for me too, very much and here's the thing, this is why Lisa and I did that video, could this be the event? Because this, more than anything else on the planet right now, is waking the most heavy sleeper up to go, wait a minute, what? And I know some pretty heavy sleepers in this area. And I was at the Costco today, just doing our regular grocery shopping, not, pandemic shopping. And there was, because believe me, that's apparently a thing.
It is. I ran into it 2 weeks ago. I thought, the hell? And then I was like, oh no, I can't believe it never even occurred to me. Right? And I thought, okay, well, I have to get the couple things that cat litter, a couple things I came in to get, and I'm going to get a surgical strike, and I'm getting out of here because, the pandemic shopping was.
I bet that's so, especially in your area. Well, in this area, even though, we just now have this state of emergency.
We don't have one.
There wasn't. Oh, you don't?
No.
Really?
No. I mean, I could have been wrong in the last few hours, but no, I've been to a lot of places, a lot of different people who kind of freaked out this morning. I was at sniffer class and nobody mentioned it. So no, we don't have one. Just so there's something to notice. Well, that's interesting. Washington State, it's epicenter, it's ground zero, it's the first case, right? All those kinds of things. And we have the biggie because it was not Chinese, right? All those knots, which made it even more serious, so more stuff to notice. But we don't have one, but you do, and you only have one. You only have a case.
One case.
Yeah.
One case.
Well, you better get right on there. Because you're so close to Washington State, the wind can blow, and
that's what I said. And 7 presumptive. Now that's what the governor said. Now here's the thing though. Like I say, for me, for the noticing. Okay, so yes, the local Costco here didn't have toilet paper, which again, to me, I cannot. That is so comical. Of all the things to stock up on, I don't get that, but okay, whatever. But there was no panic in this Costco. It was just, everything was very matter of fact, and quite frankly, there was a lot of humor, like, are you kidding me? There's no toilet paper in the Costco. And yet, right down the street from that Costco, we stopped at the Aldi's where there was plenty of toilet paper. So
yes, because smart scaredy cats do their pandemic shopping at Costco. That's so good. You got to get your market supply chains right. The marketing is directed. And again, that's another thing to notice. What are what are the different things? Because if you do this, and people are genuinely afraid, I get that. But if you do this, if you actually come out of your head and stop letting the box, sometimes the rabbit ear, sometimes not, or the internet, or whatever it is, or these light workers, or these, forget, we know the MSM is going to do this, right? But
Right.
the truthers are not going to, turn them off for a minute, and just notice. You can go right back to being frightened if you want to. That's cool. That's your choice. But notice for a minute and let go of the attachment. And combine that with, especially if heretofore, the toilet paper apocalypse, you were saying and doing and reading and preaching, consuming, meditating, all whatever the vehicle that you were using for, about love and light, about expansion, about consciousness, about ascension, about awakening, about all of that. Okay, well, where did that go? A few rolls of toilet paper and that's out the window.
Well, there's something else in this for me too. It's like, for those who are in this moment in fear, or allowing the boxes, whether they be the mainstream, the truth, or the alternative, the light work, whomever, right? There's when speaking on one's health, the fastest way to compromise one's immune system is to be in fear and
Absolutely.
stress.
Absolutely.
That is the fastest way to drive a body down.
Yeah. So you could think of it that you're taking, I want to paint this word picture for a minute. So if you're worried about it, if you're stressed about it, if you're fearful about that, then think that you're taking a drink, right? Like, so we're both, right? And that fear you're ingesting, that's an elixir that helps magnify, activate, supercharge whatever might be floating around out there to come right inside of you.
Yep.
So how's that working for you? So again, it's all of those things. And so by same token, the water, so what else are you consuming that you're letting, and you made the kind of reference to the CCC you and Lisa did the other day, and could this be the event, and all that kind of stuff, and that's a possibility. But one of the things that it's helpful to think about is it is a good way to break things down, that each being is responsible and responsible and liable, connected to, right, and accountable for themselves, and no other being is. There is no, so the savior meme and all that kind of stuff, again, look at the frequency, vibrational frequency neighborhood that's in. And you're not just drinking a glass of that elixir, right? I mean, you've got a big tanker truck sprayer out there, and they're just pumping it right into the thing. So when does one take responsibility for oneself? When does one say, well, I believe this, I think that, I do this, I do that, meditation, whatever it is. So do you really do it, or do you just appear? And when can you let it come down and permeate all of you? Because we are multidimensional beings. It doesn't matter whether we have toilet paper or not. We all are. And we choose how we go through this.
Yep. No, that's you're
and this, what you're seeing is the hasn't been silent for a long time, but the silent, quote unquote, silent war, right? And the quiet, the unseen war, which has not, from my perspective, from the chair and stuff I'm involved in, has not been silent or unseen at all for many, many years. You're seeing it erupting, all over the place. And because of what you were doing, so what people were doing, if they were, whether they used certain words about ascension, doesn't matter, but in their frequency that they were carrying before the the whole toilet paper beer thing came up, what you were doing beforehand was shifting, was expanding, that was raising that consciousness, was getting out there, was doing your mission, was having all effect on all of that. And because of that, notwithstanding some people, okay, surprisingly large number of them have run away to go, freak out about the beer toilet paper thing, and not only shout it and freak out themselves, but shout it using their pulpit, whatever their medium is, to go do that. Notwithstanding all of that, that frequency has still changed, and so it has turned. You know how, if you think of the false construct and the Illuminati and the negatively polarized matrix, everything is inverted, right? And so that you can look at the satanic, you can look any part of the thing, and you can see that it's an inversion. So here's the beautiful cosmic irony, that now these plays, these moves, these insurgencies of pandemic and fear and all these kinds of things are all being what? Inverted. So the negative, the dark to light, it's all being inverted to the light. And as that inversion happens, the doorways, the pathways, that network, the seemingly randomness of it all has all moved and aligned, and in this beautiful tapestry where all of those pieces can come in, and it will be a flash when all of those things happen, and you see under the chaos and the smoke clears, and you go, whoa, look at that. That's wrapped up, that's extracted, right? That's pulled away, that's imploded, that's sprouted. All of these things have changed. And I'm talking about everything from the down and dirty of any diseases and satanic things and pedophilia and human trafficking, to the slavery system, to the financial slavery system, the big one below the fold. That's the kingpin. That's the overarching one of all of the below the fold ones, right? The slavery system, the financial slavery system is the top echelon of all of that. You'll see all of those things not only will fold, but the pieces that have been there for quite some time to replace all of that can come to fruition.
I honestly feel, you see, for me, that's some of the puzzle pieces that I've been collecting just in the last few hours today, before you and I met here this evening. For me, the writing really does feel to be on the wall. I'm keeping an eye here because I know we want to pause or
finish your thought, and we'll wrap this one up, and we may be coming back.
Well, there's, they've alluded to it. You and I both know that he's about to address the nation with some information, but and they just discussed it a little bit ago as well, that there's talk of this 0% payroll tax that he wants to enact through the end of the year at the very least. Okay, that's like small potatoes, but there's a whole bunch of other things too that are signaling that this is it for the financial system. And one of them, and then I know we want to break, but I wanted to share this. Coronavirus cash splash. Millions of Australians, including unemployed and pensioners, could soon receive a one-off payment as part of a $10 billion stimulus package in response to COVID-19 crisis.
Right. And I'll leave it, maybe we'll wrap with this thought. And the card that that those who were playing the game chose is the ego with the freedom. So soaring higher, look above the minutia, right? If you look at what the totem energy of the ego is and all that, that was the card that was chosen for Trump was giving out to supporters of charity. And there's, so it's not a being, it's that energy frequency. And it's a card that everybody would have that would access, right? So, I mean, all of these did, but it's just a marketing scheme to get you to donate. And yeah, okay, fine. I agree with that. So, anyways, so all of these dots, these are just for a moment, take a break from the toilet apocalypse and the beer thing and, play the simply notice and game. And you will be amazed. Now, if it's boring or you don't like it or you're really attached to the fear thing, cool, go back to that. But I think you'll find it's a great, um, anti-fearer when you can do that, because then you see that there's an awful lot of orchestration. There's an awful lot of weaving and coalescing and coherence forming. And it's building this incredible structure.
Yeah.
And we're here to help this have this. People were wondering about I don't know their job, I don't know their mission. Hello, right here, right now.
Yeah,
Just
no, I
saying.
agree. Well, there's lots and lots and lots of layers and levels to this other than uh, the fear that's being pumped out there. And I mean, honestly, I get it because my awakening started in the conspiracy corruption circles first. And it's really easy to start looking at everything as they're going to get us. And he's just come on. So
Okay.
we'll end this here.
Ciao.
Till next time.